So Advanced Quest Part 15 has been announced over here on the NA side of things. It's going to be coming out in the next couple of days, depending on when this video actually goes live on the channel. But as per usual, I'm going to be dropping my guides and my background gameplay to show you guys how I cleared them and then break it down so you don't have to do any reading or anything. I know FGO players hate their reading, and these ones aren't too bad. The one that's probably going to be the most confusing for a lot of people is going to be the Babbage quest, because if you go look on the wiki, there's no information, right? Like, they don't tell you what the guy actually does. So I'm going to break that down for you guys. I've done all the extra research for you so you don't have to. So if you enjoy, the hard work and effort I put into this video, make sure you drop a like in the video and subscribe to the channel, as I do be dropping these FGO videos every single day to make sure that you, dear viewer, are well informed on the goings-on of both the NA and JP side of things. But with that being said, we got a bit to cover, so let's just stop yapping at the beginning of the video and let's break down the first fight, which I think is the easiest, that being the Kid Gil one, the Storybooks Chaldea version. Basically, this fight, you can't do anything to Kid Gil. He will not attack you, but he will also be able to take no damage. Pretty much resist all damage, can't be debuffed, nothing like that. You're not going to get through this fight by trying to attack Kid Gil. But what the gimmick is here is that every time you defeat one of the books that he'll summon, they lower his HP by 100,000. He has 600,000 HP, so you defeat 6 books, you defeat Kid Gil, and you win the fight. But there is a problem. Each of the books have different resistances and weaknesses. The red book, or the Buster book, is strong against Buster attacks, but very weak to arts. The blue book, or arts book, is strong against arts, but weak to quick. And the green book, or quick book, is resistant to the quick cards and is weak to the Buster cards, right? So what I recommend doing is just bringing a strong AoE character. You'll see that on the JP side of things, I decided to go ahead and bring Summer Ibuki because she can remove defensive debuffs on the enemies, because Kid Gil, when he gets to like 100,000 HP, he gives everybody an invincibility for an attack, which can be a little bit annoying. And so just being able to kind of bypass that is very nice. But realistically, you can bring any AoE DPS that you really want to bring. Just somebody that you know can do some really good damage, that can clear these books that have about 130,000 HP, their Sky attribute if that matters. But then you also want to bring somebody that can do some pretty decent crits. You'll see that in my run, I pretty much always got the red book. So Summer Ibuki was absolutely cooking until the very end when I had to fight 2 blue books. But thankfully, Summer Ibuki can do some pretty nasty crits with her Buster cards. I had one of those, did a Mighty Chain to guarantee that the Buster card would get a crit, and it was able to one-shot the enemy. But you'll also be able to see that my NP does not do very much damage. I mean, this is an NP2 Summer Ibuki with Black Grail equipped. This is not like a super Black Grail. It's not max limit broken or anything, but this is still a lot of damage. Now, I also do recommend bringing the Atlas Academy Mystic code, because the blue book in particular can be really annoying for these runs because it can NP seal you. The green book can do the skill sealing, but ideally you've already popped all of your skills, so you don't really care about that, but it is something to be mindful of. That is a 3-turn lock on skills as opposed to the 1 turn of the NP sealing. The red book does burning, but if you're doing an art setup and you're bringing Castoria because you have her, because again, remember that for these advanced quests, you can't bring any friends. You have to bring units that you actually own. So if you're bringing somebody that can cleanse the debuffs, the burn's not going to be all that bad. But again, bringing somebody that is able to do some pretty decent damage on these guys, or that will at least be able to one-tap these guys, as much as I would love to bring my Morgan to this and, go ham taro on these dudes, NP1 with no power mod is not going to be doing very much damage against these guys, especially when I don't have my own Koyanskaya or Oberon for this quest. As a matter of fact, I'd be relying on crits, which I could do, but I would like to finish this fight in a punctual amount of time. I don't want to be there all day, so I did not decide on bringing Morgan. But if you have like an NP5 Morgan and you can consistently churn out like 130,000 damage, then by all means, go for it. Go absolutely Hamtaro in this. I just recommend that you bring a servant that can not only do that damage, but back it up with pretty decent crits. Preferably somebody that can also do a pretty nasty Buster crit, or maybe even an arts crit. Because if you're using a Buster servant and you're going to be relying on their quick crit, it's probably not going to do as much damage as, say, a servant like Summer Ibuki over here, who gives herself a Buster buff and a crit damage buff, and the Buster card already hits naturally very hard, because Buster card, no duh. You're going to have a much easier time getting through it like that. And realistically, you only have to take down 6 books. It's really not all that hard. Just watch out for their debuffs. Be mindful of what character you're bringing. Again, Berserker's very, very strong. If you have Tai Gong, he's also pretty good against this. You'll see that I brought him in my backline just in case Summer Ibuki went down, because the blue books that would give me the most trouble are weak to quick characters. So I just had him outfitted, ready to go, just in case things went wrong. The second fight that I'm going to cover is going to be the Coup Alter one. I'm not sure if this one is going to give most players the most trouble or if it's going to be the Babbage one, but this one is kind of straightforward and it really does depend on what you have in your box. Now, again, I do know I'm using Berserker Castoria, who is not out yet, but you can substitute her for any other DPS that you like. One thing to make note of for this fight is that Lancers do more damage to Coup Alter, and you can do a little bit of cheesing with this boss if you do have Skahawk, because Skahawk is not only a Lancer, but she also has Divine Power mod, and Coup Alter has Divinity, so she can really lay the smackdown on this guy. But do also be aware that if you do bring Skahawk, she will get auto-targeted and auto-NP'd right from the start, and Coup Alter does have a very nasty effect on his NP, where he's able to remove all of the defensive buffs on an enemy whenever he does attack. You can mitigate this by bringing somebody like, say, Santa Nightingale like I did, that gives you buff removal resistance of 100%, so that way your Skahawk can stick around for a little bit longer. But that does mean that Solemn Defense, Invincibility, Dodge, Guts, none of that stuff is going to save your Skahawk. You need somebody to actually make sure she cannot get her buffs removed. And if you do that, then you have a really solid DPS for the fight. But that will make your life a little bit easier. The actual effects of what Coup Alter is doing are kind of annoying. As you'll see that I was able to get through this in a kind of timely manner, but we also do barely get by with the skin of our teeth. Thank you, Draco, for being so good, even without a CE. The problem is at the very beginning of this fight, Coup Alter gives himself 4 stacks of 20% NP resistance, and a stack is removed anytime you hit him with an NP, meaning you either need to fire some dud NPs to remove that damage, or have a balance of NP damage and crit damage going into the fight. That way you can start chipping away at those NP resistances, but that way you're doing crits, so that way you are progressing through the fight. But as you progress through the fight, he will gain the same resistance to crit damage that are similarly removed whenever you do hit him with critical damage. As the fight continues to go on though, he will start to charge his NP gauge more frequently, you know, giving himself 2 ticks here, auto-firing his NP whenever he gets to his final break bar. It can be a lot to go into. Not to also mention that he refunds 2 ticks of NP whenever he fires his own NP, so that way he's starting at 2 ticks instead of 0, so it is something to keep note of. He does have this whole like, oh, on odd number turns, I'm like reducing my own HP and reducing a little bit of yours and reducing your defense. It's not really the craziest thing. The one that I find to be the most annoying is that on even number turns, so you know, you're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, come on, we all made it through elementary school, he will remove the latest offensive buff from all of your party members. So again, the buff removal resistance is not only good for surviving his own NP, but ensuring that you are keeping your buffs. Now, he is giving himself attack, he's giving himself NP damage, but more than likely, dude, he's a berserker, he's gonna be one-shotting your guys regardless. Like, you can give yourself all of these buffs all you want, I was gonna die anyway. The attack buffs might matter more in some corner cases if you are using somebody like Draco or a foreigner, somebody that can resist Coup Alter being a berserker, but aside from that, it's really not going to matter. And even then, you'll see my Draco take some hits later on in the fight as we get to the very end, as she is my anchor for this fight, and she was able to get through that just fine. I'm sure if we got crit more often it'd be really bad, but hey, that's FGO, there's going to be some RNG involved. So again, if you do have somebody like Skahawk and you were around whenever we did get Santa Nightingale, you have a pretty decent path forward. Obviously, we don't have Skahawk's most recent buff, but we do have the buff she got a little bit ago that does guarantee that you're going to get the star weight and the crit damage, so her crits are going to be hitting pretty hard. You also have the added benefit of her being a quick unit. That means that you have access to Ruler and Caster Scotty, so if you have both of them, you can still kind of run a normal quick team, and you are going to be getting a 100% crit damage buff on your quick and buster cards, meaning that some combination of a turn 1 NP plus 2 of Skahawk's cards is more than likely going to be able to down his first bar of HP that's only at about 300,000 HP. Again, keep in mind that he does take 4 times damage from all Lancer people that you're going to be bringing. So even if you don't have Skahawk, bring the strongest Lancer you have if you do have a decent Lancer. I'm not telling you to bring somebody like the 4-star Liz or something. She's going to get absolutely butt blasted into oblivion, but anybody that you have, that could be considered a decent DPS. Or you could go the route that I did and bring one of the best DPSs you have. For me, that is going to be Summer Castoria, which, fear not, if you're trying to copy my team 1-to-1, she will be coming out in a couple of months. And then I anchored with Draco, who is like one of the other better DPSs that I have. I know she's somebody that takes resisted damage from Coup Alter. She's fairly self-sufficient without a CE because team cost, since you're not getting the free friend to be a support, is going to rack up pretty high in this fight. but you need to kind of have this balance of doing damage, but also ensuring that your units aren't getting absolutely obliterated. Again, somebody like Castoria is really good for, you know, giving you those solemn defenses. Same thing for the Berserker version, because she gives everybody one hit of solemn defense. It does kind of conflict with the original Castoria's NP, but you just need a way to kind of mitigate those normal attacks as you're chipping away at this guy's HP. If you have people that can just keep you alive, you'll be fine. It does mean that things like Immortal team comps are really bad into this, because there's not really a good combination of characters where you're going to have like enough buff removal to outweigh the amount of debuffs he's pulling off of your guys. Meaning you're going to have a lot of frustrating runs where you kind of get set up, but then Kualter fires an NP, removes one of your supports like buffs and whatnot. Say removes like Castoria's Solemn Defense or Merlin's Illusion, you know, invincibility skill, and then you just lose your guy. So again, I would say lean more on the aggressive side for this one. This is what I've always done when clearing this on stream if I need to show somebody, or just for funsies if I'm doing it for a gameplay demonstration for a new servant that's coming out or something along those lines. It's lean more on the aggressive side. And again, like the first fight against Kid Gil, bring somebody that has a balance of being able to do good NP damage, but don't forget about your crits, because your crits are also going to be very important. They want you to bring a decently balanced servant. Obviously, there's some really nutty servants out there that can just do insane crits and insane NP damage, but we're not all oil barons here watching this video now, are we? I mean, I'm not even an oil baron watching this. You see me going through this fight with these NP1 servants? Sometimes you just gotta make do with what you got. Again, if you picked up Black Grail during the last anniversary, that's an absolute godsend on a lot of these runs for just pushing through some of these damage thresholds that these enemies and bosses are going to have. But again, I would say for this fight, err on the side of aggressiveness, but do not forget to bring somebody, or at least have a backup plan for that NP, because it is removing all of your defensive effects. If you have no way to counter that, or you're not planning on, say, taunting with somebody or planning for somebody to go down, your guy's gonna get obliterated. Like, this guy's NP hits really, really hard. So turns out the last fight for this one is not Babbage. I don't know why I remembered it being Babbage for some reason. It's actually a fight against these Chimeras, and it is way easier than the Babbage fight. Essentially, all you need to do is focus down the Chimera in this fight. The Chimera will take care of all the other enemies on the field. It will basically eat them at the start of turn, and then it'll lose a little bit of its damage resistance. And the damage resistance really isn't that high. Like, you could really start doing some decent damage once it's lost like 3 to 5 of these. It's supposed to be this really daunting fight where, oh no, the more he eats the enemies, the more HP he gets, and he's gonna get attacked and crit damage. But as you can see, I mean, I just brought Chiron because he had power mod. Chiron's not even like particularly the greatest servant ever, but I was like, well, he's got power mod against the Chimera and he removes buffs, so I can kind of suppress the attack buffs he's given himself. And I mean, I have Castoria and Lady Avalon over here on JP, so I might as well bring them, but you could probably get by with like your Waver and Jufu in this fight. Just bring anybody you want at that point and just sit around for a couple of turns while the Chimera is nom-nomming on the other guys that are around him. Because realistically, this fight's not all that hard. I mean, you can go check out the Satanta video that I did like a week or two ago, and I actually did this fight in that video. It was so easy that I forgot about it. In fact, if you watch the gameplay from that video, I forgot how this fight worked and spent like the first 3 turns taking out the other random enemies that were on the field. Like, I was just wasting time. Because if you don't allow the Chimera to start eating his buddies, then he doesn't lose his damage resistance, so he just kind of stays bulkier for a couple of extra turns, and I still got through with that. And it's like, Satanta's not the craziest free-to-play servant of all time, right? And a Ruler Scotty setup does not really give you a whole bunch of survivability, and even just kind of farting around in that quest with that team setup, I was able to get the job done. So this actually should be the easiest one, because realistically, they just say, stop. Wait a minute. Okay, now you've waited a minute. All right, now you can just go ahead and blow this guy's back out. Like, you can just absolutely destroy this guy. This one is not nearly as hard as the Babbage one that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. That one is a bit annoying because, like, you can't, well, I mean, we'll get into that one whenever we get the actual Babbage quest. But this Chimera one, this one's a joke. Like, this is literally just here for when I need to go test out a new servant on a stage and just show that, oh my goodness, they have a little bit of longevity. And look at how much damage they can do with this Chimera who has damage resistance. Oh my gosh. So yeah, this one is not all that hard at all whatsoever. Realistically, the Coup Alter one should be at the end of this video because that's the hardest fight. This Chimera one is a joke. The Kid Gill one is just like, I don't know, did you pass elementary school? Do you got your grasps on colors? Are you good with all that? Okay, good. You got the advanced elementary color degree down? Okay, you can do that. And then Coup Alter is like, you gotta kill this guy before he kills you, and it's probably gonna be a pretty tight battle. But if you have any further questions on any of these challenge quests, probably in particular it's going to be regarding the Coup Alter one, you can leave a comment in the comment section of this video. I'll try to reply to all the ones that I can, but if I don't get around to them, maybe you're watching this video a couple of days after I drop it, and then we're already getting on to what's going on Ordeal Call 4, all that good stuff. The Discord's linked down in the description down below, so you can peer into the FGO chat and be like, hey guys, can I beat the Coup Alter fight with my Medusa, Steno, Uriel team? And you'll probably get laughed at and people tell you no, show me your box, and they'll probably help you out with making another team comp that can actually take this guy down. I'll also be back to streaming next week. Things are wrapping up over here. I'm gonna have a lot more free time available to me again, so not only do I want to start streaming on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays over here on the YouTube and Twitch dual stream style for FGO on those days, but Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm thinking about just exclusively streaming over on Twitch. Things like Nikke, things like Arknights, things like Wuthering Waves, you know, these other mobile games that I've been pouring some extra time into and I've been really enjoying. So if that kind of tickles your pickle, all those links are down in the description down below. There's also a Patreon if you want bonus videos and you want to get into the super exclusive Illuminati chat in the Discord where I talk about getting a burger today and why that was like really enjoyable for me. I mean, they also get to vote on videos that are coming out, but then sometimes they have like really dumb ideas and then I just say, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm going to upload something else. So if you want to be a part of that, that's going to be in the description down below. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice completion on these advanced quests because they do give you Saint Quartz. Every 3 that you finish, 9 Saint Quartz for this anniversary. So make sure you bozo do these missions because you're going to need the Saint Quartz. Have you seen the upcoming servant list? Like starting from anniversary onward, it's just a bunch of fiends that are coming out. Like 9 Saint Quartz is 3 singles, and I pulled Skyhawk on a single, I pulled 2 Morgans on a single, and I pulled double Melusine on back-to-back singles. So hey, singles will change your life. Make sure you get those Saint Quartz. Otherwise, I'm going to throw a meteor at your house or something. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice rest of your day, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace. Late, guys.